धनञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam thematic series. Yesterday we were discussing after answering the first two questions of the sages of Naimisharanya. It is bhakti, that is pure bhakti, which is to be the highest dharma for all living beings, by which the Atma can be satisfied. Sut Goswami takes another theme from verses 23 to 29, where he mentions that the object of bhakti is only Bhagavan and not even Brahma or Vishnu. Sorry, Brahma or Shiva. What to speak of other devatas? So the only object of worship is Bhagavan Vishnu, who is Sattvatanu. So that is the point he will be discussing from verses 23 to 29. And we saw day before verse 23, then 24, 25, and 26, 27. So today we will see verses 28 and 29. I'll just take a recap. This is the principal verse, and the Shreya is Sattvatanu Ranam. They can get the highest benefit by worshipping Vishnu. We saw Prabhupada's commentary on this and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, which is quite philosophical. And then Sut Goswami gives an example. Just like the highest benefit we can attain from wood is through fire and not through smoke also. So wood is compared to Tamaguna, smoke is compared to Rajaguna, and fire, which is used in Vedic sacrifices to realize Vishnu. So Sattva helps in not obscuring, but in revealing. Sattvam yad Brahma darshanam. So he gives an example in verse 24, and we see both the commentaries. And then in the next verse, he mentions that those who are mumukshu, those who the persons who are desires of liberation, they give up this ghora rutvan hitva. They give up the worship of the ghastly forms who are the bhutapati, and they worship Narayana Kalashanta, like the Matsya Kurma Vara avatars. And they worship without any envy. That means they respect not only the devatas, they respect the worshippers of the devatas also, because they are he anusuyave. So we saw the commentaries of both Prabhupada and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So now we will continue. Yeah, this verse also we saw. Then why do uh, these worshippers, which only get but temporary benefit, worship these devatas? Because they are desirous of ipsava praja, Shri, and Aishwarya. And they are themselves in the modes, so they worship the presiding deities of those modes. And again, we saw Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Now, this is the concluding verse where Suta Goswami concludes. So let us begin this. This is a very famous verse. Let us discuss this. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makaha, Vasudeva para Yogo, Vasudeva para Kriyaha, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapaha, Vasudeva paro Dharmo, Vasudeva paragati. Vasudev is the purport of all Vedas. Vasudeva parama Veda. So the Vedas itself proclaim that it is Vasudev which is to be worshipped. Vasudeva is the object of all sacrifices, Vasudeva Paramakha, and not the yoga, varnashram, knowledge, and austerities are all dependent on Vasudeva Para. Vasudeva Para Yoga, Vasudeva Para Kriya, Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapa. Bhakti is dependent on Vasudeva, Vasudeva Paro Dharma. Prema and liberation are dependent on Vasudeva, Vasudeva Paragati. So this is how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur translates this verse. Srila Prabhupada also very nicely translates this verse. Srila Prabhupada translates it as in the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of God. Vasudeva Para Veda. The purpose of performing sacrifices is to please him. Vasudeva Para Makha. Yoga is realizing for him. Vasudeva Para Yoga. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur mentions Varnashram, Yoga, and all that, is ultimately for Vasudeva. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. Vasudeva Para Kriya. He is the supreme knowledge. Vasudeva Param Jnanam. And all austerities. Vasudeva Param Tapa. Dharma, religion is rendering loving service to him. Vasudeva Paro Dharma, the highest. Savai Pumsan Paro Dharma Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje Ahetuki Apratiyata Yayatma Suprasidi. And he is the supreme goal of life. Vasudeva Paragati. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a very also nice analysis or the explanation to this verse. Okay, so let's see now Prabhupada's commentary on this. That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship is confirmed in these two shlokas. So Suta Goswami is going to prove that it is only Sri Krishna, who is the object of worship. And it is confirmed in these two verses. He has built the premise in 1 to 23, Sattvam Rajas Tama Prakriti Gunastre, and he has now concluding in these two verses. In the Vedic literature, there is the same objective, establishing one's relationship and ultimately reviving our lost loving service to him. That is the sum and substance of the Vedas. So this is the sum and substance of all Vedas. So what line of the verse is Prabhupada commenting on here? No, there are two verses and 8 padas. This is the first pada, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramaka is second pada. So what line of the verse is Prabhupada commenting here? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Yes, Priya Mataji.
Vasudeva Priya Gati.
Priya Gati. Okay. Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Oh, Vasudev Paraveda.
Vasudeva Paraveda. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same theory is confirmed by the Lord in his own words. The ultimate purpose of the all Vedas is to know him alone. Vedeshtu sarver aham eva vedyo. Sarva Vedanta Vedakrit. I am in all the Vedas, I am to be known. So Vasudeva Paraveda. In the Vedas, I am to be known. All the revealed scriptures are prepared by the Lord through his incarnations in the body of Srila Vyasadeva, just to remind the fallen souls conditioned by material nature of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. No demigod can award freedom from material bondage. That is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. Impersonalists have no information of the personality of Godhead, minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord, and put him on an equal footing with all living beings. And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with great difficulty. They can surrender unto him only after many, many births in the culture of transcendental knowledge. Bahunam Janmanam Te Jnanavan. Now, next paragraph. Prabhupada practically devotes each pada an entire paragraph. So this is the second paragraph. One may argue that the Vedic activities are based on sacrificial ceremonies. That is true, but all such sacrifices are also meant for realizing the truth about Vasudeva. So what is Prabhupada quoting? Which line of the pada is he explaining here? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Anyone else? Geeta Mataji? The audio at your side is not working. Yes, Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Oh, it is Vasudeva Paramakha.
Vasudeva Paramakha. Another name of Vasudeva is Yagya, Yagyo vai Vishnu. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that all sacrifices and all activities are to be conducted for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Yagya, the personality of Godhead. So where in the Bhagavad Gita is this stated? Who will answer this? Where in the Bhagavad Gita is it? That all sacrifices and all activities are to be conducted for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Where in the Bhagavad Gita it is stated? Yes, Priya Mataji.
Bhoktaram Yagya Tapsam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram 5.29.
5.20. Okay. Is there a still more specific verse which is stated? Anyone else? Ashokatma Prabhuji, yes.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Yes, exactly. Yajnartat karmano yam loko yam karma mandana. Tadartha karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Yes, excellent. 3.9. Prabhupada is quoting here 3.9. Please mark in your Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita 3.9. This is the case also with the yoga systems. So Prabhupada now starts quoting. Yoga means to get in touch with the Supreme Lord. The process, however, includes several bodily features such as asana, dhyana, pranayama, and meditation, and all of them are meant for concentrating upon the localized aspect of Vasudeva represented as Paramatma. Paramatma realization is but a partial realization of Vasudeva, and if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudeva in full. But by ill luck, most yogis are stranded by the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. So by the bodily process only, the asana and pranayam, one can get so much mystic powers that he gets, bewildered and get sidetracked instead of realizing the partial manifestation of Vasudeva in the heart. If he is successful, then he can go to the full manifestation of the Vasudeva. Ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good learned brahmanas, on the families of rich merchants, in order to execute the unfinished task of Vasudeva realization. Shrutinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Vijayate 6.4 to Prabhupada is quoting. If such fortunate brahmanas and the son of rich men properly utilize the chance, they can easily realize Vasudeva by good association with saintly persons. So it's not that the brahmanas who are born in such families of unsuccessful yogis or in the rich aristocratic family, they can realize Vasudeva. No, they have to come in touch with association of saintly persons. They have to utilize that chance. Now, Prabhupada is mentioning the setbacks of it. Unfortunately, such preferred persons are captivated again by material wealth and honor, and thus they practically forget the aim of life. So these rich aristocratic children, they get carried away by wealth, and highly learned brahmanas, they become proud of their birth, and they again forget the goal. So unfortunately, Prabhupada, that's why it says. That is also so with the culture of knowledge. So here in paragraph 3, what is Prabhupada quoting of the verse line? Which line of the verse is Prabhupada quoting? Anyone? Which line of the verse is Prabhupada quoting? So there are Prabhupada has finished Vasudeva Para Yoga, Veda, Vasudeva Paramaka, Vasudeva Para Yoga. Yes, Priya Mataji.
Jnanam, Vasudeva Para Jnanam, knowledge.
Yes, Vasudeva Param Jnanam. According to the Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items of inculturing knowledge. By such culture of knowledge, one becomes gradually prideless, devoid of vanity, non-violent, forbearing, simple, devoted to the great spiritual masters and self-control. Prabhupada is quoting which verses of the Bhagavad Gita? Raise your hands. Which verses of the Bhagavad Gita is Prabhupada quoting? Abhay Inge Prabhuji.
Sorry, Prabhu, sorry.
Don't know. Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, it is 13.8 to 12. Amanityamadam.
Yes, excellent. So please mark there. By culture of knowledge, one becomes unattached to the hearth and home and becomes conscious of the miseries due to death, birth, old age, and disease. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam. And all cultural of knowledge culminates in devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Therefore, Vasudeva is the ultimate aim in culturing all different branches of knowledge. Vasudeva Param Jnanam. Prabhupada continues. Culture of knowledge leading one to the transcendental plane of meeting Vasudeva is real knowledge. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadate Vasudeva sarvamiti samatma sudurlabha. Physical knowledge in its various branches is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita as agyan, or the opposite of real knowledge. So this is again 13.8 to 12 only, Prabhupada. The ultimate aim of physical knowledge is to satisfy the senses, which means prolongation of the term of material existence and thereby continuance of the threefold miseries. So prolonging the miserable life of material existence is nescience, agyan. But the same physical knowledge leading to the way of spiritual understanding helps one to end the miserable life of physical existence and to begin the life of spiritual existence on the plane of Vasudeva. The same applies to all kinds of austerities. Vasudeva Param Tapa. Tapasya means voluntary acceptance of bodily planes to achieve some higher end of life. Ravana and Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of bodily torture to achieve the end of sense gratification. Sometimes modern politicians also undergo severe type of austerities to achieve some political end. This is not actually tapasya. So there is tapasya in the mode of raja and tamaguna to achieve your own sense gratification, gross or subtle. But tapasya is what Rishabdeva has different. Divya, for the higher purpose to attain the absolute truth. That is real tapasya. One should accept voluntary bodily inconvenience for the sake of knowing Vasudeva, because that is the way of real austerities. Otherwise, all forms of austerities are classified as modes of passion and ignorance, as I mentioned. Passion and ignorance cannot end the miseries of life. Only the mode of goodness can mitigate the threefold miseries of life. Vasudeva and Devaki, the so-called father and mother of Lord Shri Krishna, underwent penances to get Vasudeva as their son. Lord Shri Krishna is the father of all living beings. Sarva Yoni Shikonteya Aham Bija Pradapita. Therefore, he is the original living being and of all other living beings. He is the original eternal enjoyer amongst all other enjoyers. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father as the ignorant may think. Lord Krishna agreed to become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki upon being pleased with their severe austerities. Therefore, if any austerities have to be done, they must be done to achieve the end of knowledge, Vasudeva. So Prabhupada is giving that tapa has to be done for highest end, that is to realize Vasudeva, and he gives the example of Vasudeva and Devaki. Paragraph 5. Vasudeva is the original personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. As explained before, the original personality of Godhead expands himself into innumerable forms. Such expansion of forms is made possible by his various energies. Shakti, Parasya Shakti, Vivadeya Shruyate. His energies are also multifarious, and his internal energies are superior and external energies inferior in quality. They are explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4 to 6 as para and apara prakritis. Now, at this point, I'm going to ask you which line of the verse is Prabhupada explaining. Here is the verse. If you don't remember where, at which point of the verse we are studying, which line of the verse is Prabhupada commenting on? Raise your hands. What about others? Anyone else? Virendra Yadav Prabhuji, yes?
Vasudev Paragati.
Vasudeva Paragati, Ashokatma Prabhuji.
Vasudeva Paradharmo.
Vasudeva?
Paradharmo.
Ah, yes, it is Vasudeva Paradharma. Excellent, very nice. So his expansions of various forms will take place via the internal energy are superior forms, whereas the expansions which take place via the external energy are inferior forms. The living entity are also his expansions. The living entities who are expanded by his internal potency are eternally liberated persons, whereas those who are expanded in terms of the material energies are eternally conditioned souls, the Nitya Baddha and the Nitya Muktas. Therefore, all culture of knowledge, austerity, sacrifices, and activities should be aimed at changing the quality of influence that is acting upon us. For the present, we are all being controlled by the external energy of the Lord, and just to change the quality of influence, we must endeavor to cultivate spiritual energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that those who are Mahatmas or those whose minds have been so broadened as to be engaged in the service of the Lord Krishna are under the influence of the internal potency. And the effect is that such broad-minded living beings are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord without deviation. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashita bhajante ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. Prabhupada is quoting 9.13 here. So please mark this in your Srimad Bhagavatam. So the highest dharma is to get in touch with the internal potency of the Lord. That should be the aim of life. And that is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. No one should bother himself with fruity activities or dry speculation about transcendental knowledge. Everyone should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Nor should one worship different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord in creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. So this has been proved in the verse 23. There are innumerable powerful demigods who look over the external management of the material world. They are expansions of the external potency of the Lord, not of the internal potency. They are all different assisting hands of Lord Vasudeva. Even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are included in the list of demigods, but Lord Vishnu or Vasudeva is always transcendentally situated. Sattvam Vishuddham. Even though he accepts the quality of goodness of the material world, he is still transcendental to all the material modes. Sattvatanu. The following example will clear that matter more explicitly. So Prabhupada gives the example to clear it. In the prison house, there are prisoners and managers of the prison house. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the laws of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes to in the prison, he is not bound by the laws of the prison house. The king is therefore always transcendental to the laws of the prison house, as the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of the material world. So that's how Prabhupada, in fact, comments both on Vasudeva Parodharma and Vasudeva Paragati in these last paragraphs. Let's go to Vishnu Chandra Thakur's commentary. Now, Vishnu Chandra Thakur gives the Purva Paksha argument here first. He says, but Pitras and Devtas are said to be worshipped by the Vedas. In the Vedas, there is worship of Pitras and the Devtas. What is wrong with them? The Vedas have their purport Vasudeva. Vasudeva Para Veda. So Vishnu Chandra Thakur is commenting on Vasudeva Para Veda. And he gives a proof that how the Vedas purport is Vasudeva. Kalena nashta pralaye vaniyam veda samgita maya do brahmane prokta dharmo yasyam madatmakaha. By the influence of time, Kalena, the Vedic knowledge, Veda Samhita, was lost at the time of annihilation, Nashta Pralaya Vaniyam. Therefore, when the subsequent creation took place, I spoke to Brahma, Mayado Brahmane Prokta, the Vedic knowledge in which Bhakti is essence. Dharmo Yasyam Madatmaka. So here it is very important. Dharmo Yasyam Madatmaka. So this is from the 11th canto. This is the purport of the Vedas, that one should practice bhakti unto me. So this is the purport of the Vedas and not to the Pitras and the Devtas. So it gives the second quotation. Kim vidatte kim achaste Kim anudya vikalpayat ityasya hridayam loke nanyo madveda kashana. What do the Vedas instruct as action? Kim vadate. What is the final meaning of the Vedas? Kim achaste. What alternatives do the Vedas raise? Kim anudhya vikalpate. No one except me or my dear devotees know. Anyo mad veda kashana. The intended meaning of the Veda. Itya asya hridayam loke. Third reference. The Vedas indicate bhakti as action. Mam vidhate. And indicate me as the meaning. Abhidhatte mam. I am the meaning of all the Vedas. Etavan sarva vedartha. I as karma and gyan am proposed and rejected as alternatives. Vikalpayo, vikalpayapo yate tva aham. The Vedas shab take shelter of me. Astaya mam vidham. Proposing karma and gyan and then rejecting them. Anu dyante pratishidhe, as Maya, Maya Matram, become happy by giving the devotees bliss. Prasidati. So these two verses are together. So the ultimate purport of the Vedas is to know the Lord. Thus, these people, not knowing the purport of the Vedas, worship the Pitras and others. Say, don't know the purport of the Vedas. But it is clearly seen that the Vedas are concerned with sacrifice and yoga. So this is again the Purva Paksha argument Vishnu Thakur puts. Vedas, are concerned with yajna and, yoga. That is true. Again, he quotes, Swam lokam na vidus devayatra devo janardana ahur dhumra diyo vedam sakarmakam atad vidha. Those who are less intelligent, dhrumo diyo, except the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies are all in all. Vedam sarma karmakam. They do not know, na viduste, that the purpose of Vedas is to understand one's own home. Swam lokam, where the personality of Godhead lives. Vai yatra deva janardana. Not being interested in their real home, they are illusioned and search after other homes. Ata vida. So this is from the 4th canto. Thus, according to the words of Narada, sacrifice and yoga are not meaning of the Vedas. So this is Narada instructing, I think, Prachinavari. Yes. Our home is not Swarga, not Satyaloka, it is a spiritual world. So not knowing that, one is engaged in yajna and karma. The Lord himself says, Dharmo yasyam madatmaka. I myself am the religious principles enunciated in the Vedas. Devuti says, Ahobat sopachoto garyan yajjivva grivartate namatubhyam te pustapaste jivvayu shashnur Harya Brahmanuchur Nama Grananti Yete. How astonishing, Ahobat, the outcast, Sopacho, on the tip of whose tongue is your name. Yad Jivagre Vartate Namatubhyam is the Guru. To Garyan, all those who chant your name, Nama Grananti Yete, most respectable, they are Arya, have completed all austerities, Tepus Tapaste, all sacrifices, Jivahu means, sacrifices, all bathing, Shashnur, and all study of Vedas, Brahmana, Chu. So, the ultimate goal of the Vedas is to chant the holy names by which we can please the Lord by pure devotional service. Those who are doing that, they have completed all tapasya, all sacrifices, and all study of Vedas. Narad is saying, Yata Taror Mula Nisechana, has indicated that Vasudev is the conclusion of the Vedas. Thus, it is clear that the meaning of all Vedas is simply devotion to Bhagavan alone. Vasudeva Paro Dharma. Or all sacrifices are dedicated to Vasudev can mean that the sacrifices worship Indra and others as the limb of Vasudev. So Dhruva Maharaj, being a pure devotee, was practicing pure devotional service, but he was also engaged in doing yajnas for the demigods. But that he is not doing for himself, but to lead the praja. So while doing the yajna, Om Indraya Swaha, he was offering the Ahuti. So this Indra is a limb of Vishnu. So for him, it became pure devotional service. But the other prajas are interested in Karma Kanda. To take them towards Dharma, he was setting an example, but internally in his heart, he was a pure devotee. So his performing of yagyas for the devtas is not for the devta, but it is again to satisfy Vasudev. So the worship of Indra and others is done as the limb of Vishnu. So that is we have to understand. This is well known in the story of Bharat. So even Bharat followed this. Now here is the example. Footnote, Maharaj Bharat expertly understood how the offerings made to different demigods was simply an offering to the different limbs of the Lord. For instance, Indra is the arm of the Supreme Personality Godhead and Surya is his eye. Thus, Maharaj Bharat considered that the obligations offered to different demigods were actually offered unto the different limbs of Vasudev. This is 576. And I gave the example of Dhruva. Yoga is dedication to meditation on the Lord, Vasudeva Para Yoga. This is well known from the story of Kapila. So he gives Kapila example. All karmas are dependent on the Lord since they cannot bestow results without including worship of the Lord. So Vasudeva Parakriya. So without that bhakti element present in that karma, that karma doesn't give results. It's only the bhakti which gives that result. Gyan and tapas are also dependent on the Lord for results. Since Karma Yoga has already been mentioned by the words Vasudeva Parakriya, Vasudeva Parodharma, means Parama Dharma, the actions of bhakti such as hearing. So already there is Vasudeva Parakriya, this is Karma Yoga. So Vasudeva Parodharma refers to practice of bhakti, which is hearing and chanting. These are all dedicated to Vasudeva. Parodharma and the goal, Gati, Prema and liberation are dependent on Vasudeva alone for results. So Vasudeva Paragati is Prema and liberation. So that's how Vishwanath Chakra Thakur gives a little nicer explanation here. So any questions up till now? Any questions, any clarifications? Okay, so we will go to the next series of verses. So after this is proved that it is Vasudeva is the only object of worship, section 30 to 34, Lord Krishna manifests this material world by expanding himself into Purusha avatars. So this is in principle given how Lord Krishna, this is answering the fourth question of the sages. Answer to question 4, describe the Purusha avatars, which is in 1:117. And this answer is there in verses 30, 31, 32, 33. And 34 answers question 3. And this is given in principle, the answer in 30 to 33. It is further expanded in 1 to 1 to 5. And further expanded in cantos 2 and 3. So the brief answers are there in the second chapter and expanded into canto 2 and canto 3. So let us go through this. Sa evedam sasajagre Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Saddasadrupaya Chaso Guna Maya Aguno Vibhu. The powerful Vibhu, Lord Bhagavan, alone, eva, devoid of material gunas, aguna, previously created, sacha jagre, this in us, idam, by his, aso, material energy composed of material gunas, gunamaya, and endowed with cause and effect. Sad asad rupaya cha. So here that sa is referring, this sa is referring to whom? Anyone knows? Raise your hands. Sa is referring to whom? Anyone can answer? The Sir refers to whom? Birendra Yadav Prabhuji, yes.
It refers to Lord Krishna.
Lord, but exactly whom?
It refers to Vasudeva.
Yes, very good. It refers to Vasudev from the previous verse. Let us see Prabhupada. So that. Prabhupada says, so is that. So is referring to that from the previous verse. So in the beginning of material creation, that absolute personality, and Prabhupada see here. Yes, this is what I was looking for, in fact. So you can see how clearly Prabhupada is translating and putting into the square bracket. It is not clear in the verse, but Prabhupada is clarifying it. In his transcendental plan, created the energies of cause and effect, sad asad rupaya, so by his own internal potency. Okay, let us go to Prabhupada's explanation of this verse. The position of the Lord is always transcendental, aguna, because the causal and effectual energies are required for the creation of the material world were also created by him. So Mahavishnu, glances, he's the cause. The effect is the pradhan is agitated. That is the effect. And that effect becomes the cause, which creates the Mahatattva. And this effect of the Mahatattva becomes the cause where the Ahankar in the three modes is created. And that effect becomes the cause where there is creation of the mind and the devatas. And then there is senses. And then there is the elements. So like that, cause, effect, So sad asad rupaya. He is unaffected, therefore, by the qualities of material worlds. Gunamaya aguna vibhu. He is agunamaya vibhu. He is vibhu. His existence, form, activities, and paraphernalia all existed before the material creation. Narayan paro avyaktat. He is all spiritual and has nothing to do with the qualities of the material world, which are qualitatively distinct from the spiritual qualities of the Lord. He has nothing to do with the material world. So quite brief commentary. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. The creator of all those who are recommended for worship, such as Pitra, Shiva, and Brahma, is Vasudev alone. So again, he is making it clear it is Vasudev. Thus, he is worthy of worship. The Lord is without gunas, but he creates the universe using matter composed of gunas and material cause and effect. Sad asad rupaya. That's it. Now, further, this is what Mahavishnu does by cause and effect creates. Then further, what happens? Taya vilasiteshu eshu guneshu gunavaniva anta pravishta abhati vijnanena vijrimbita. The Lord entered anta pravishta into the jivas covered by the gunas, guneshu, manifested vileshetu eshu by taya, material maya. He appears to be abhati, in contact with the gunas, gunvaniva, but he is strengthened by his spiritual potency. Vijnaneva vijambita, vijambrita. So the Lord, although he enters into this creation as Garbhadakshay Vishnu and enters into further as Shirodakshay Vishnu, but still he is, Gunavan Iva, but still he is transcendentally situated. Yata hi avahito vahanir dharishu ekasvayonishu nanev bhati vishvatma bhuteshu cha tatapaman. Just as, now an example is given, one fire, eka vahanir, situated in avahito, pieces of wood, dharishu, as its natural pace of manifestation, swainushu, blazes forth as many fires, naneva bhati, the one Eka Supreme Lord Puman, the soul of the universe, Paramatma, Vishatma, situated in all beings, Bhuteshu, manifest as many, Naneva Bhati. So this is that one Lord who is situated in many. Now commentary for 31, Prabhupada. The living entities are separated part and parcels of the Lord, and the conditioned living beings who are unfit for the spiritual kingdom are true within the material world to enjoy matter to its fullest extent. As Paramatma and the eternal friend of the living entities, the Lord, by one of his plenary portions, accompanies the living entities to guide them in their material enjoyment and to become witness of all activities. While the living entities enjoy the material conditions, the Lord maintains his transcendental position without being affected by the material atmosphere. So Prabhupada is, Guneshu Gunavaniva, Vilasetu, they are enjoying the functions of the gunas, but he is transcendently situated. In the Vedic literature, Shruti, it is said that there are two birds in one tree. One of them is eating the fruit of the tree, while the other is witnessing the actions. The witness is the Lord, and the fruit eater is the living entity. The fruit eater, living entity, has forgotten his real identity and is overwhelmed by fruitive activities of the material conditions. But the Lord, Paramatma, is always full in transcendental knowledge. That is the difference between the super soul and the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, the living entity, is controlled by the laws of nature, while the Paramatma, the super soul, is the controller of material nature. He is Mayadin, and the Paramatma is Mayadish. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. The Lord is the inner soul of that all that is created. This is explained in 3 verses. So 3 verses explain this. 31, 32, and 33. The Lord entered the jivas covered with gunas, guneshu, made to manifest vilaseshu by Maya. So the gunas are manifested by Maya. The Lord appears to be associating with gunas, gunavan. But this is not actually so because he excels in power by Shit Shakti, Vijnanena. So again, this verse, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur comments, I don't know, I think twice it has come by some mistake, I think, maybe in the slides. So we have read this verse, we'll see Prabhupada's commentary. Lord Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, by one of his plenary parts, expands himself all over the material world, and his existence can be perceived even within the atomic energy. So Prabhupada is speaking about Shiradaksha Vishnu. Matter, antimatter, proton, neutron, etc. are all different effects of the Paramatma feature of the Lord. As from wood, fire can be manifested, or as butter can be churned out of milk, so also the presence of the Lord as Paramatma can be felt by the process of legitimate hearing and chanting of the transcendental subjects, which are especially treated in the Vedic literatures, like the Upanishads and Vedanta. So in all manifestations of wood, there is fire. And by a process, the fire can be, ignited. Similarly, even in all matter, just like the protons and the neutrons are moving, because there is the Shakti, the Paramatma is there, who is giving that Shakti to move. Similarly, in the heart, the Paramatma is there, and he can be churned out through the process of hearing and chanting. Srimad Bhagavatam is the bona fide explanation of these Vedic literatures like the Upanishads and the Vedanta. The Lord can be realized through the oral reception of the transcendental message, and that is the only way to experience the transcendental subject. As fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can be similarly kindled by another divine grace, and that is his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although the fire, the wood is there, each one of us is like that, and in the wood there is a potency to ignite the fire, but the wood on its own cannot ignite fire. There has to be some other wood which has to come in contact, and then the fire is kindled. So the fire of Krishna consciousness, which is there in the dormant state in every living being, can be kindled when we come in association of a pure devotee. That is his divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence is gradually realized. The difference between animality and humanity lies in this process. Animals cannot approach a guru, only human beings can approach a guru. A human being can hear properly, whereas an animal cannot hear. So that's how Prabhupada concludes his commentary. So Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, just as fire is always situated, Avahita, in pieces of wood, so the soul of the universe, Antaryami Vishnu, is situated in all living beings, Bhuteshu. If fire is made to appear in pieces of wood by friction, it burns up those pieces of wood. Similarly, by practices of hearing and chanting, Paramatma is made to appear and removes the covering of Maya on the Jiva. So Prabhupada explained in his purport also. This is indicated by an example. So verse 32 gives that example. Okay. So let me complete this last verse and then take up questions. Aso gunamayer bhaver bhutma sukshmendriyatmabhi swanirmistueshu nirvishto bhungte bhuteshu tadgunam. The Lord as Paramatma, Aso, having entered nirvishto in all the bodies with the material sense objects, senses and mind, bhuta sukshmendriya atmabhi, which have been created by the Lord, Swanirmiteshu, makes the jivas enjoy the sense object. Bhungte bhuteshu, colored by the gunas, tadgunan. Prabhupada. There are 84 lakh species of life, living beings, beginning from the highest intellectual being Brahma down to an insignificant ant, and all of them are enjoying the material world according to the desires of the subtle mind and the gross material body. The gross material body is based on the conditions of the subtle mind, and the senses are created according to the desire of the living being. The Lord as Paramatma helps the living being to get material happiness because the living being is helpless in all respects in obtaining what he desires. So we have a desire to enjoy unlimited bhoga. So the desire is there in subtle body and a gross body is given. And this gross body is provided by the material elements which are created by the Lord himself. And the Lord as a Paramatma in the heart also sanctions that. And then only we can enjoy. That is the point. He proposes and the Lord disposes. In another sense, the living beings are part and parcels of the Lord. They are therefore one with the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the living beings in all varieties of bodies have been claimed by the Lord as his sons. Aham bija pradapita. The sufferings and enjoyments of the sons are indirectly the sufferings and enjoyments of the father. Still, the father is not in any way affected directly by the suffering and enjoyment of the sons because he is situated transcendently. He is so kind that he constantly remains with the living beings as Paramatma and always tries to convert the living beings towards the real happiness. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur. The soul of the universe, Paramatma, with conditions made of gunas in the form of sense objects, Bhutma Sukshma, senses and mind, Atma, having entered into the bodies of the living entities such as Devata and animals, created by himself, enjoys those sense objects which correspond to the gunas. So it's the Paramatma who enjoys. This is what Vishnu Chakra Thakur says. The Lord does not enjoy happiness of material sense objects. Thus, the sentence means, without the Paramatma, the jivas cannot act as enjoyers. So the Lord doesn't enjoy the inferior sense objects. He enjoys the spiritual sense objects. So the Lord, without the Lord's, help, the jivas cannot be act as enjoyers. Or it enjoys through the jiva because the jiva is the tatastha shakti of the Lord. So the Paramatma enjoys through the jiva. So that's the meaning he gives. Or the verb enjoys may be taken in a casual sense. Thus it means that the Paramatma lets the jivas enjoy the sense objects. He gives the sanction. Anumati, upadrushta cha anumanta cha. So that completes this section. And this verse I will take in the next class because that is the answer to question 3. But up till now, anyone has any questions? Or should we finish this verse also? If we don't have questions, then we'll finish this verse. Yes, Ravi Kant Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is, ultimate enjoyer is Atma or Paramatma? Like, as of now, I understood that
Can you speak a little loudly, please? Clear.
ultimate enjoyer, ultimate enjoyer is Atma or Paramatma, Prabhuji. Like, either material enjoyment or any kind of enjoyment, or bhokta also, like any kind of miseries or suffering is suffered by the Atma, right? Or it is suffered by the Paramatma. How we can understand?
Okay, let me clarify your question and give a little clear understanding. First of all, the Atma cannot enjoy matter because Atma is spiritual. But the Atma is given a covering of avidya, which is ahankar, the false sense of enjoyer, because it has a desire to enjoy. And the Paramatma facilitates that enjoyment. The Paramatma facilitates that enjoyment. Otherwise, spirit and matter are incompatible. So it is the Paramatma which facilitates by giving us a subtle and gross body. And without the Paramatma sanction, the Atma cannot enjoy also. So the Prakriti, is created. Ahankar vimud Atma kartam inti manyate. So that's what we think, that I am the enjoyer. And this false sense, without the Lord's permission and without the Lord's sanction, cannot happen. So in that sense, Vishwanath Chakra is explaining that verse. Yes, Vinita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, while you were explaining the previous verse, there was a statement told that demigods are expansions of the external energy of the Lord.
Yes.
And last statement we read that jivas are the tatastha shakti.
Yes.
So how do we like external energy, tatastha shakti, and internal energy?
Both the jivas and the demigods are expansions of the external energy of the Lord. They are also Tatastha Shakti, but they are
Okay.
empowered to do the administrative affairs of the cosmic management. But
Okay.
both are expansions of the external energy of the Lord only. And they are not the expansions of the internal energy of the Lord. They are not expansions of the internal energy of the Lord. So that should be very clear. I
Okay,
hope
so
it's clear.
yeah, that I understood, but this jivas are kept as tatastha shakti because they are not empowered.
No, even the demigods are also Tatastha Shakti. They are also Jivas. They are Tatastha Shakti only.
Okay.
They are also Tatastha Shakti.
But we have three shaktis, no, Prabhuji? Marginal, internal, and external.
Mhm.
So
What's
demigods belong to the external energy and jivas belong to the tatastha shakti.
No, it's not like that. Demigods are also Tatastha Shakti
Okay.
and the Jivas are also Tatastha Shakti, but they are both are expansions of the external energy.
External
They
energy.
expand from the
Okay.
external energy. That's
Okay.
the
Yes,
fact.
yes, I got now I got it.
Yes, yes. Yes, Ravikant Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, on the same point, I just understand, like, Lord's external energy is Jiva, but all the spiritual things
No,
are
no, no,
belong.
you're not getting the point. We have to understand the Jiva is a Tatastha Shakti, but it comes in yoga with the external Bhairanga Shakti and expands into these forms of different forms of demigods and different living beings in the 84 lakh species. That same jiva, which is a Tata Shakti, when it comes into contact with the spiritual energy, it can spiritually expand into form of spiritual personalities in the spiritual world. Are you getting this point now?
Yeah, because of the nature is the Tatastha Shakti, because it is in.
If the jiva, which is the Tata Shakti, comes in touch with the Vairanga Shakti, then it expands into material forms.
Correct. Yes.
If
Yes.
it takes shelter of the Antaranga Shakti, then it can expand into spiritual forms, which are the Nitya Siddhas. That is the point Prabhupada is making. It's a little technical and philosophical. I understand that.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
You need to meditate on it and then it becomes clear.
Yeah, Prabhuji. I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Priya Mataji, last question. Yes.
We were mentioning about the difference between animality and humanity in a sense that Jiva, when with receptive ears, uh, he hears the messages of the Guru and thus his divine existence is gradually realized. And
Yes.
then there was a sentence below which said, the animals cannot hear whereas humans can hear.
Yes.
So, my compassion towards animal actually soul in an animal body, so how will they get the chance to be elevated from animal body to human body? Like it says animals can't hear the guru messages
Yes.
and humans
The
can.
animals cannot hear and take up the instructions and start practicing. But the animals can hear the Maha Mantra, and if they are receptive, then they cannot make advancement in one such, but in the next life, if they are fortunate, always taking the remnants of Mahaprasad and all, then in the next life they can elevate to the human form and then actually make spiritual advancement and attain the perfection of the human life. Is to go back to the spiritual world. Human beings can hear, act on those instructions, and practice sadhana. That's why human body is called as a sadhaka deha, by which you can attain siddhi. Whereas other species of forms are not called as sadhaka deha. They can only do eating, sleeping, mating, and eventing, not more than that. Only dharma can be performed by human beings. So that is a point Prabhupada is mentioning there. I hope it is clear.
Yes, thank you.
So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.